And hello, we will be live right about now, like one, two, three, and we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening from this part of Nigeria, wherever you are in the world, America, Canada, Spain, Ukraine, wherever you are, we are saying you're welcome to Exalt Nigeria TV. And this is the Elections 360 series where we'll be extraying all the happenings from the beginning of the electioning process up to this post-election time where we are looking at the results as they come in. We are looking at the happenings during the elections, during the coalitions, lessons learned up to this very point. And to start off this series, we have our very respected comrade, Ekejiuba Daberechi Kingsley. Comrade Ekejiuba Kingsley, please say hi to your audience.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Pleasure to be here, and I look forward to having this very timely interaction.
Thank you very much. And I will not be doing this alone. I have alongside with me Dr. Idu Wadiaro Wapa, all the way from Canada. Hello, the good doctor. Say hi.
Hello. I will mute myself for now. Good.
All right.
Hello,
Thank
everybody.
you. Yeah, so before we proceed with this interview, we would like to give you an insight on who Comrade Daberechi Ekejiuba Kingsley is. Daberechi Kingsley hails from Isukwato LGA in Abia State. He is the Director of Operations for the Organization for Impact and Reform, OFIAR, a renowned NGO committed to common good of Nigerians at home and in diaspora. He also doubles as the representative of the National Voters Drive Coalition, an organization that has successfully registered over 80,000 new voters in Abia and Imo State in partnership with INEC. In 2019, he founded the Progressive Abia Youth Association, the foremost youth advocacy group created to become a catalyst for progressive change in Abia State and Nigeria, with a mandate to liberate Abia youth from the shackles of psychophancy, bad governance, and stagnation. He was elected as President General in December 2020 to kickstart what would be a historic journey towards the Abia and Nigeria of our dreams. He is a renowned unionist, a strong advocate of youth inclusivity, an ardent promoter of peace, and a patriot. He believes that innovation is a necessary tool for effective business development, and this earned him a place as one of the outstanding products of the Israeli embassy in Nigeria, having developed an electronic controlled extruding machine from scratch. Ekejiuba has been involved in the thick and thin of the fight for good governance, and this shows in all his engagements. He was a member of the Anambra State Government Transition Committee in 2022, ushering in the well-decorated government of His Excellency Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo. He has a participatory interest in activism, politics, and social welfare, with an unquenchable taste for education and learning, with values based on trustworthiness, fairness, hard work, dedication, and duty, responsiveness to zero tolerance for excuses, and consistency. He is a graduate of Netford University, a first-class product of the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance, and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management. He holds a bachelor's degree in mathematics and certificates in entrepreneurship and leadership. He is a fellow Young Innovation Leaders Fellowship. fellow fellow innovation fellowship for aspiring inventors and researchers. Ekejiuba Kingsley believes in God, the possibility of a better Abia, and ultimately a better Nigerian. What a biography! What an achievement! And first question straight, comrade Ekejiuba, how did you manage to achieve all this in your young life? Tell us about it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, some of these things just come together, as a result of consistent effort, and it's all to the glory of God. I don't actually feel like I have achieved anything. Looking at all of that, by the time you start putting that on paper, you get a few things one has been able to do in a short time. But yeah, consistency, God's grace, and belief in the ingenuity of the Nigerian spirit, and what we can do, what one can do.
Just avoid them. Just avoid them. So
You know what somebody did? Okay, they're my back now. Who are going back here? All those guys we met in Abia.
Please, if you're on this call, please mute. Please mute. Let's go on. Comrade, sorry for that break.
I've muted everybody.
Comrade, please go on.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, so I said, yeah, I mean, all of that put together is what gave me the push to achieve a few things. I don't actually see them as much. And I believe that there's room for me to do more. Like you said, I'm still a young man, so I don't feel like I've achieved anything. I feel that there's room for much more improvement, and of course, much more opportunities for me to continue to develop and continue to contribute to the development of myself and my society, and of course the world.
Beautiful. And I like the way you sound so humble about your achievements. But then I tell you, that's quite a lot. And then from what we have read here, you have actually traveled a lot, and you have been exposed to other societies, other ways of doing things. How has this affected your outlook on Nigerian politics?
Well, having been involved in student unionism as students, being able to meet with those who hold sway as leaders and political leaders particularly, I had the opportunity to see for myself, see things for myself, to see the rot in our system and the level of decay and lack of competence in our public space. And so having that first-hand experience, seeing these people that handle public affairs and how they've been completely unable to drive a much needed change, much needed development in Nigeria, inspired me to, I shouldn't say inspire, I should say, I mean, that observation, witnessing that low level of performance from public leaders, having an interface with them, and of course I discovered that most of them don't even have anything to offer. I mean, you interact with them, you don't get, as a young person, you expect that when you interact with a leader, you get some level of motivation, you get some level of inspiration, and you get to, meet people with ideas and people who have ideologies that should drive national development. But on the contrary, having these interactions with these people, made me believe that as a young man, I have a whole lot to do. And having that network with young people as a student leader and ultimately a youth leader gave me that insight that with my network and the experience I've had, I can actually make a difference. So this was what formulated the drive, which I termed inspiration, to continue to push for a better society.
Thank you very much. That was very instructional. And talking about ideologies, I was going to first ask you about the place of unionism, looking at the post-elections. But then you mentioned something very interesting, and I want us to quickly look at it. You talked about ideology. Looking at the current political system in Nigeria and the different parties we have we seen a matching of politicians aligning with ideology, or just politicians choosing parties that give them a platform to win elections? And looking at the new era that we are going to, are you beginning to see the possibility of politicians aligning with ideologies?
Yeah, I believe in the public saying that a state or a society is a reflection of her leaders, and the people are as good as leaders they get. Going through the School of Politics, and Governance, School of Politics, Policy and Governance, under the guidance of Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, opened my eyes and made me understand how first world countries function, and the fact that the success that this nation have continued to enjoy over the years is a function of consistency in ideology, consistency in national cohesion, consistency in shaping the direction of the society. But here you find that before now, people who held sway as leaders are, people who cannot even defend themselves in the public, people who ordinarily would not pass a job interview, people that, forgive me for the use of the word, people who are referred to as staff. These are people who, before now, manage high public offices. And because of that, you can't give what you don't have. They were not able to positively affect our society because in the reasons of it, they didn't even know, or they do not know how to affect the society. They don't know what leadership entails. They do not even understand the concepts of policy making, policy design, and all of that. She's talking about economics and all of that. So that is the reason why we've had to face this level of pregnancy in terms of development. But now you see that things are changing. The narrative is changing, and it's because of the high level of interest that the young people have now shown in politics and leadership. Not just the young people. You see technocrats now coming to politics, people who ordinarily would think that politics is for the dogs, is for those who can fight and kill. They are now coming into politics. So the narrative is changing, the conversation is changing. Now politicians can maybe not use the term politician, let me say political leaders, can afford to have conversations around foreign policy, around infrastructure, around economic policy, using statistics and indices to drive conversations around economy, around whatever components that make up a progressive society. So we're gradually moving to that point where ideology will take center stage. But right now, we've not gotten there. But I can tell you, as you may have observed in the course of the most recent election, a lot of the people that put themselves forward to run for office are renowned. Okay, so what I was saying is, you look at somebody like P2B that put himself forward to run for the office of the president of Nigeria. As much as he called himself, or he likes to define himself as a trader, he's an economist. He's in a bank, a top bank executive, and he's had that experience. And he started driving an ideology that is centered around moving from consumption to production. You see other people, even the regular politicians that have been in the system for years, started discussing ideology, started discussing, started using statistics, data, and evidence to analyze issues, unlike before. Before now, I have to be very, very realistic here. Before now, you only see politicians go around, to eat corn and do all of that just to identify with the common people on the streets, just to show that they care about the people. And that's what it was all about before now. So the conversation has changed. And I believe that as we all continue to have this conversation, some years back, we won't be having this conversation because people like us felt that politics was just too dirty in Nigeria. But now, we are leading change. We are leading change. So in the coming years, Nigerian politics will completely, the dynamics of the Nigerian politics will completely deviate from the usual bread and butter politics to politics that is centered on ideology, on content, character, and capacity. I can't hear you. I don't know.
Mr. Kene, you're muted. Unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we have seen this change gradually take place, and I'm glad that you talked about this dispensation where we have seen conversations on issues, GDP, production, agriculture, and the likes of them. So let's zero in on the candidate that possibly raised the bar in terms of this conversation, which is Mr. P2B. But then looking at first the presidential election, I want you to x-ray what has changed, looking at the activities leading up to the elections and now post-elections. Do you think that there has been a significant change in the average or the typical Nigerian citizen as regards politics? Do you think those changes are positive, or do you think it has taken a rather anticlimax? What is your take?
Yeah, I think that there's been some changes, and I think these changes are positive. The fundamental change is the the fact that young people have now shown not just ordinary interest, but participatory interest in politics. Young people now belong to political parties. Young people now join in political campaigns, not to be used. They participate in political campaigns not to be used, but to be drivers of the campaign messages. Young people have now decided to use the tools available to them, which includes the social media, to engage in politics, engage constructively in politics. So it's a beautiful moment for us as a country, because the strength of a nation, the power of a nation lies in both the intellectual and social capacity of her youth. So for the fact that the Nigerian youth are now using their intellectual advantage and their social network to drive politics means that there is a new wave in the political terrain. So that's the positive angle of this. And beyond just looking at the young people as well, but the fact that these young people have raised the bar in terms of conversations around politics, the older generation are also tilting towards that direction. Because you know that as much as within the cultural context in Nigeria, the parents, the older people always want to direct the younger people on how to behave, what is right, moral provisions, cultural peculiarities, and all of that. But now you find that the older generation now rely on the young people for innovative ideas, or some of these, to drive conversations around innovation, artificial intelligence, and the new wave of technology. So the older people are also aligning with the opinions of the young people, because to them, they think that we have done their bit and they've not been able to succeed to a great extent. They are looking up to the young people to make the change happen. And I think another factor that has brought this change is the fact that young people have come to realize, and not just young people, Nigerians in general have come to realize that the Japa syndrome is no longer the solution. No matter how much you are appreciated, loved, and accommodated in a foreign land, someday you'll be reminded that you're a stranger. And most Nigerians who have spent their years in the diaspora, spent a good time, or the most time of their life in the diaspora, have come to have that experience at one point or another. So the drive to make Nigeria better is even more pronounced at this point because of some of the experiences that our people have had. So what you see now is a collaboration, a cross-generational and intergenerational collaboration that spans across the length and breadth of this country, including even those in diaspora. So these are some of the factors that has contributed to the change that we are witnessing in Nigeria today. And it's going to continue, it's about to continue as more people continue to make inroads into the political area. Are you there?
For those joining us on Zoom, please, you can send in your questions to the chat room. We will be asking Comrade Ekejiuba to answer your questions. Just put them on the chat room. We will see it there, and then Comrade will be willing to answer your questions. But for now, let's narrow down on Abia Progressive Youth, being that we have just talked about youth participation in these elections. And you made a fantastic point that they were not the youth did not participate in these elections just to be used as thugs or to perpetrate electoral violence, but we had a whole lot of people, young people, joining political parties to get their voices heard. Now let's look at Abia Progressive Youth, of which you are the President General. What was the role of Abia Progressive Youth in this election as regards the presidential election and the gubas in Abia State?
Well, thank you so much for that question. I'm smiling because I may not be able to completely outline the role we play, but having understood the role that the youth can play and the fact that it is possible for a group of people with sincere, with sincerity and unity of purpose to effect change. And we had, when we started what we did in Abia, most persons felt like we were wasting our time. Most people could not understand the motivation and the inspiration behind what we were doing, because it looked unthinkable. It appeared that at that point in time we're wasting our time trying to get people registered. Remember that in this part of the world, in the Southeast, there's this high voter apathy in the Southeast. And that was worsened by the continuous sit-at-home order and all the issues around insecurity that plagued the Southeast. But as an organization that was built on purpose, that was built on youth inclusion in the political space, I was able to engage my people, and we had an understanding that if we could take advantage of our population, that is the youth population, and if we could rally around and give hope to the young people, making them understand that we have the capacity to effect change, citing some very good examples that achieved tremendous change in society, the likes of Nelson Mandela, the likes of Martin Luther King Jr., and other leaders who made significant change in the society against all odds. We're able to ignite hope among these young people in Abia, and together we decided to make a difference. We started with the voter registration, and when the time is right for every agenda or idea, the necessary resources required to activate and implement that idea will always be available. So having designed that theory of change that was supposed to birth a different kind of leadership in Abia, who were gracious enough to identify with some other organizations that partnered with us to drive this voter education. So our activities running up to the election was founded on the idea that if we get the youth to participate actively in the process and have these young people who ordinarily are expected to give up on Nigeria and consistently criticize leaders and cause some amount of unrest and all of that, can engage ourselves and engage the older generation, then we will be able to convince them that we can build a society. So with that understanding, we mobilized ourselves. We had about 200 young people across the 70 LGAs in United States going to partner with INEC, with my organization, partner with INEC to drive voter registration exercise in Abia State. And doing this is also important to mention the fact that we were completely non-partisan and will remain non-partisan throughout the duration of our program. So, after the registration, we participated in PVC distribution. For us, we're merely volunteering to get this done because we took it upon ourselves to be the voice, to be the hope of our generation. And we all, went in with the same mindset. We sacrificed. In fact, if I have to buy, I'm not sure I'm able to get that video. I would have played one of the videos that we have to take in the field where some of our ambassadors were going to, deep communities. I mean, communities that are very, very deep in the state that ordinarily they wouldn't have gone to. They were going there by foot. Most of them had to walk 20 kilometers. Most of them had to walk 15 kilometers just to get to voters in those communities to be able to get them to register to vote. So it was a lot of sacrifice. It was a lot of selfless service and belief in the sincerity of the leadership of our organization and the fact that what we were doing was sincerely designed to bring our state from where it is to where we want it to be. So we owned the process from the beginning, and we moved on when the PVCs were produced. We went around the communities, we were telling everybody PVCs are out. This time you have to vote. And it wasn't easy because in some cases people were accusing you of collecting money from politicians. They would say that you are you're not part of the agenda that they have and all of that. In fact, during the registration process, some of our ambassadors were attacked in one or two LGAs. I mean, physically attacked, and their materials destroyed, their phones destroyed. So that is what it took for us to drive that. But being able to participate in that registration process gave us a very good relationship. I mean, it endeared us to INEC and the people, because again, one of the major issues we discovered was that the problem we had a problem of trust within our political system. There's deficiency of trust, very, very high deficiency of trust between the people and the electoral umpire, and again, between the people and the politicians. So we volunteered, we came out and said, look, you may not be able to trust the politician, you may not be able to trust the electoral umpire, but we are your children, we are from here, we are citizens of this state, and we cannot mean anything evil for our state. So, if you don't trust them, can you at least trust us to drive this initiative? Can you at least give us the benefit of doubt that if we all come out to vote and stay back to ensure that our votes count, we'll be able to determine who leads us? And it wasn't an easy feat, I can tell you that. It took us more than 90 days to drive this initiative. And we also had some other incentives that we were giving out to people in the bid to encourage them to participate in the process. So that was largely successful. We were able to register, like I said, more than 80,000 people in Abia, Imo State, and went on to also engage in PVC distribution to ensure that people fix their PVCs. We did all manner of programs, sensitization programs across different platforms. We had, a lot of fora, and we had different fora that we used to engage people both at the local and at the state level, and we yielded tremendous results. People were able to get PVCs at the end of the day. We had more than 1,000 PVCs distributed in Abia within 2 weeks, and it was good. But along the line, there was a fog in the wheel. The presidential election didn't really go down well in Abia. There were issues around logistics, materials arrived late, so most people that came out to vote would not vote. And our people have this short-term orientation. They're not able to endure pain, especially when it has to do with politics, bearing in mind experiences of the past. So to me, personally, it became a very big challenge, because I started thinking, how can we sacrifice more than 90 days of our precious lives, sacrifice our lives basically, going from community to community. We fail. So I'm looking at all of that and the disappointment, the frustration that people were expressing after that outing.
Hello. Comrade, we are losing your audio. Hello, Comrade, you are losing your audio. Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
So I had to talk to myself, and I was like, look, let me look beyond disappointment. There was a very big win in Abia. For the first time in Abia State, an opposition party won majority of the seats at the National Assembly. So I decided to, engage my team and make them to see a brighter part of the whole thing. So we now focus on the gains and not the losses. So we went back into the street, engaging our people, and we told them that, look, we, as much as the exercise didn't go as smooth during the presidential election, we also have some gains. Nobody can deny the fact that the elections that were conducted on the 25th of February in Abia State, the outcome of that election represented, and of course still represents the will of the people in Abia. People's votes counted for the first time in the history of Abia State. So we decided to capitalize on that. We went back, telling people, we did a couple of roadshows, uncountable number of them, and we used even the local media to talk to our people and tell them, look, if your vote counted during the presidential National Assembly election in Abia State, and you can attest to the fact that the outcome of that election is a reflection of the votes you casted at the polling unit, then there's no reason for us to give up on the process. So we continued thinking this. Even a day before the governorship election, we were out there on the street, also telling people to come out and vote, canvassing for vote. And we're not telling people to vote for any political party, just come out and exercise your franchise as a citizen of this state. And bearing in mind our theory of change, summarize what we wanted to achieve, that if we get people to participate in the process, then people can easily effect the change at the ballot. We'll continue to hammer on that. And on the 18th of March, not so much people came out, But the people that came out were convinced enough that if these young people can dedicate their time, dedicate their resources to drive this, then let us give it a chance. And they did. And today, Abia State is in jubilant mood. Since yesterday to today, both the young, the old have been celebrating because, according to them, they voted and their votes in Abia State counted.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Comrade Ekejiuba. Please, Mooch, if you're coming in on this call, please mute yourself. That is the first thing to do when you come in so that you strike the conversation on ground. So thank you very much, Comrade, for that good work you have done in Abia State. And I have what some people might term as a mischievous question, but I would like to ask that infamous question: who funded your activities, and how were you able to keep this non-partisan? How were you able to balance being non-partisan, especially if you had outside funding? Did it in any way affect your message to the people as a non-partisan group?
I mean, this is a very, very important question you asked. In fact, I remember in more than one occasion, people had to write some petition to INEC, insinuating or rather suggesting that I have some affiliations and all of that. So it's the right question that you asked. One thing that we have going for us is sincerity of purpose. And we were very clear from the onset what we wanted to achieve. And I don't always like to talk about myself, but I think another thing that helped us was the fact that I took a decision that whether or not we had the resources, we're going to do this. Whether or not we get the funding, we're going to do this. I wouldn't know even if it was as a result of the determination that some of the opportunities that came our way came, but we're already doing a few stuff, mobilizing the youth, spreading that message of hope, and that message that getting this thing done is possible. Before some other organizations saw what we were doing and decided to partner with us to provide funding and in some other cases, incentives for us to do what we did. So we didn't get any kobo from any politician. We didn't take any kobo from any politician, and we never, or did, ask anybody to support any politician. And that's what people couldn't understand, because we're doing a lot. And in this part of the world, to get anything done, I mean, when things are expensive in Nigeria, so always say, because of the inflation and all of that. But we did all of this thanks to our sincerity of purpose and the fact that we were determined, not forgetting the God factor. God was there for us. He directed our path, and we simply followed his direction. And once God is involved in any endeavor, one will always succeed as long as one keeps to the rules and does not compromise. So yeah, that was how we were able to fund it. We had intervention interventions from the likes of Ekejiuba, that's African Permanent Healthcare Foundation, from Nigeria Physicians Advocacy Group, EMPAG, from Organization for Impact and Reform, yeah. We had interventions from 100 Igbos Incorporated. We had interventions from Ready to Lead Africa, Chief Nigeria, and we had interventions from Prisoners, Habilitation and Welfare Action, from Living by Design, from Exalt Nigeria. You know, it's a long list, but the major thing that attracted these interventions is our sincerity of purpose, the fact that we could be trusted, and we had results on ground to show that we could get this done, that beyond the resources required, we had the manpower and we had the intellectual endowment to drive initiatives as destructive as this one. So that was what helped us, and that was how we were able to raise the resources to get this done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, comrade. And we have this question that someone sent in. You did mention that today there is so much excitement. You know, people in Abia State are jubilating that they have a change in governance. And I'd like to ask you, twist this question like this. What does this new government portend in terms of economic development? Abia State has the potential to be a Dubai of Africa. I remember a colleague of mine, is a writer, Yinka Ogun, famous for his creation of Tinsel. He would say that he had this friend that always told him he wore Abame when they were having conversations. And then he would say that when you call something Abame, you are saying something very genuine that you don't understand. That there is an Abba made means that Abba is making. There is no Oyo made, there is no Imo made, there is no Lagos made. Is Abba made has become more like an acronym that says that these people are productive, these people are making, these people are actually busy doing something in contributing to making Nigeria a great country. But then the question he always asks is, why has there not been that economic boost? Why has there not been that requisite investment in that about making industry to make it the hub, like the Dubai of Nigeria, and indeed West Africa? So the question is, this change in government, do you think that it portends a change in the investment of ABBA in that making industry? What does it pretend for the economic activity in Abia State?
Well, thank you for that question. It's another very, very useful question to ask. So I don't know, have you seen any of the scenes? Have you seen any of the videos of people celebrating and jubilating across different parts of the state? Okay, so if you look at if you
could put some of those videos for us, it will be awesome. We would like to see those videos.
Okay, let me see. I'm using my mobile device. Let me see if I can share my screen and play one of them. Okay, so I'll just look for that, but I'll continue this conversation. So why I was talking about that is because most people that took part in that in those celebrations are traders, the common people on the street, salary earners, and all of that. So for them, their dance on the street was a victory dance. For them, it was a dance of emancipation. It was a dance of freedom. It was a dance of salaries that are going to be paid, a dance of business environment government that is more stable and favorable. So the expectation on the current government is very, very high. But for us, for me particularly, I was telling my people. So some of them came back to say, oh, either we have achieved this tremendous feat and we can pat ourselves on the back. They're surprised at my response. I told them that we've achieved nothing. Because as far as I'm concerned, the journey just started. One of the reasons why subsequent governments have failed in Abia is because of the docility on the part of the citizens.
Hello, comrade. We just lost your audio.
Lack of performance, they've allowed leaders to get away with impunity and all manner of irresponsibility that people who have held sway as leaders in this state exercise. So our generation has risen up, take charge, and we are taking charge. I know that the change of government will translate to some changes, but nothing will change if the citizenry does not change. Nothing will change if people don't hold leaders to account. So I've told my people that in the coming days, weeks, and months, well, of course, as always, we're going to be reading out plans and action plans that will keep the government, the new government, on her toes. Everybody in this state understands that we are not loyal to any political party, and we don't do whatever we do to any political party. So more than ever before, the youths who have voted and their votes counted, and not just the youth, Abians in general, who are owners of this mandate, can afford to hold the leaders accountable. And that is one of the reasons that one of the convictions I have that this government is going to function. We do not believe that the current leadership will do so well. We are positive that they're going to do so well, but we do not believe that they're going to do so well independently. We believe that with collaboration and the youth playing their role, but now we're designing mechanisms to ensure that every budget passed in the State of Assembly is scrutinized, and we measure the performance of of those budget items monthly, quarterly, yearly to ascertain the effectiveness of the budget and also critique essential areas. And we also designing a program that will constantly run on all the media channels in the state. That program will be designed to focus on thematic areas, some of which you have mentioned, for putting Abba in view. And when we're talking about Abba, we're talking about the infrastructural situation in Abba, and we're going to be measuring the state of Abba in a quarterly basis. What has changed? What are the introductions? How has government fared? And all of that. And in the area of salary payment, how much is being owed now that you're going to come into office? How much has been paid? And stuff like that. The governor had talked about, the governor-elect in an interview on RIS TV this morning said that he was not going to chase after anybody that stolen funds For us, that's not what we want to hear. We want to hold people accountable because we believe that if we say, oh, I believe that if there's no consequence, bad behavior is likely to be repeated. So I will stress it so much that the victory we're celebrating is not for any candidate, it's for us because we voted. And the same way we voted, if anybody who is privileged to lead us as the people in Abia State fails to perform or live up to expectations, we'll vote the person out. It's as simple as that. So with that reality in mind, we are convinced that as we continue to support the government and critique where necessary, the government will be able to fix most of these things, most of these challenges that we are facing today. And Abba is a very strategic, in fact, Abba is the economic powerhouse of Abia State. The past government before now have been insincere. I have to be very, very clear here in terms of revenue collection, in terms of accountability, and the people have suffered enough of that. So now with the youth taking charge of the political dynamics in the state, being able to speak up in one voice and not speaking to cover anybody but for the interest of the state. I believe that even if you put somebody there who is not so, who doesn't have a strong will, the influence of the young people, the support of the young people for the right things to be done, and the agitations that will arise if the wrong things are done, will keep the person on his or her toes and make and ensure that the right things are done. So these are some of the things that we are putting in place. We are not leaving everything for the government or the governor-elect and say, oh, we have gotten it right, and so we're not going to automatically switch it to heaven. No. We are constantly, for us, we have had our generational intervention work good governance. So it's something similar to Nelson Mandela's long walk to freedom. For us, it is a long walk to good governance in Niger State. And ensuring that the people determine who became their leader was just the introductory part of that work. It was just the beginning of the work. We've not even gone anywhere. So the journey continues, and we will do everything within our power to hold the current leader to account. And where he fails, we'll talk to him, and if he fails to live up to expectation, we'll show him the exit door in 4 years' time.
Thank you very much. Comrade, you have done so much justice to that question. And in case you're watching us live on YouTube, this is still Exalt Nigeria. This is Election 360, and it is one of the elections, post-elections conversation that we'll be having to x-ray the happenings in the 2023 election, pre, during, and post. We still have Comrade Ekejiuba Daberechi Kingsley. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button and subscribe to this channel so that you will get live notifications, and we'll be having a whole lot of conversations like this, get all towards good governance in Nigeria. Back to you. We'll be taking some of those questions. Please keep your questions coming. We're seeing them, and we will take those questions. But just before we round off, there are some questions that we still have for you, Comrade. Looking at the Abia State election, at some point in time, there were a lot of mixed reactions coming out from Abia State. The system was quite tense, and at the point, collation was stopped. A similar thing that happened in Lagos State. The gubernatorial election was keenly contested, just like in Lagos State, where you had Sanwo-Olu and GLV of Labour Party. But this time it was Labour Party, Alex Oti, and the PDP. What was that thing? But at the end of the day, Abia State seems to be in jubilation, while Lagos State still having a lot of contentions and talks about going to court. What was that thing that Abia State did differently that ensured that the voices of the people were heard, that at the end of the day, there is jubilation in the streets of Abia State? What is that thing, or what are those things that Abia State did differently that Lagos State did not do, that is making us not see that kind of jubilant mood in Lagos State?
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't want to compare the two states. The political dynamics of Lagos and Abia is not the same. The only thing I will advise is that negotiate state that of Lagos. People should stop expecting more from others than they expect of themselves. Lagosians should rise up, speak, and ensure that their voices are heard. In Abia, there was to speak. And beyond speaking, we ensured that our voices were heard. Don't forget that we have been part of the process from the beginning. And our model was completely non-partisan. The advantage this gave us was the fact that, we could look at anybody and tell them to their face what they are doing right or wrong. And I also did not mention something. Before the governorship election proper, we had extended invitation to all the candidates. We had a one-on-one interaction with them. And while all of that was going on, we were taking note of their ideologies and what they were going to do. And our dedication to be part of the whole political and election process helped us salvage the situation in Abia State. So we had our members work as ad hoc staff. We had, the INEC ad hoc staff in Abia, most of the youth participated. And we had majority of our members as INEC ad hoc staff. We are part of the process. Abia State is our own, Nigeria is our own. So if there's anybody that's going to make it right to discuss, that ad hoc staff that was due to compromise or that can compromise, you replace that person with your person. Replace that person with somebody who is straightforward, trustworthy, and reliable, and the story will be different. So for the fact that we had our people in the field, we're not just on social media. We had our people on the ground across the 17 LGAs of Abia State. We're getting live feedback from all the polling units in the state. And so we're monitoring the process. As the results were dropping on the area portal, we were collecting all these results. We're just supposing them with what we're making sure that everything tallied. So when Obinga became an issue, we simply interviewed our guys on the field, asked them questions. They gave us live feedback from the field, and we got hold of the real situation. So we got the total number of voters accredited in Obingwa. we were following the results for the State House of Assembly. The results were announced. The people that were victorious in that election were members of PDP, the political party that was contesting that was agitating for the governorship, the result of the governorship election. And so when the issue came up, we simply went to our archive, brought out the votes from Obingwa, brought out the number of votes accredited, and we were getting feedback that the figures of Obingwa, was doctored. And we said no. We had to, engage all our people who activated all our members across the edges of the state to say, look, we cannot spend all this money in this walk to good governance only to have our first win disrupted. So we stood up, we had our press conference, and we told the whole world the truth. We came with data and evidence. We outlined the number of votes cast in Obingwa, the percentage uploaded to the area portal, the numbers that the parties got in each of this, in that particular LGA. And we outlined the fact that the people who contested for House Assembly election in that same Obingwa did not protest the result. The two House of Assembly positions in that LGA was won by the PDP. So if the people that emerged victorious in that election did not contest the outcome, why will somebody else now start contesting the governorship, the outcome of the governorship election? And this election was done the same day. People were given two ballot papers, two papers to vote at the same time. So the same papers was used to actually the same voters that voted with the governorship and the State of Assembly. So you cannot have a different figure. So when we mobilized our people and came out to speak, and we spoke with our data, the evidence we had, INEC listened, and we were very delighted with their intervention and the review of the results submitted. Because if that was not done, there would have been a lot of chaos in Abia State, and even the politicians would have been left out, because the level at which the young people were agitated and ready to save, their interest to save the state was higher than any opposition and muster. And it was all of that put together that helped us navigate the situation. And as you know, a whole lot of people were so desperate to truncate the process and manipulate the will of Abia. But God's glory was too strong. We didn't just stand wishing, we did the work. And to God's glory, the little work we did paid off, and today I just rejoice.
Thank you very much, comrade. This is going to be the last question from me, and then we'll take questions from our live audience. And I can see Nomax 92 hands up. And after this question, we will take questions from you. Don't forget, this is still elections 360, and we have been talking with the President General of Abia Progressive Youth, Comrade Ekejiuba Daberechi. Now, there are a lot of people, young people, that have seen what you have done, heard from you what you have done in Abia State. A lot of youths now are keen or positioning themselves to key into leadership positions in our polity, which is a good thing according to what you have said. What is that advice you will give? What is a pathway to being a leader as a youth, given the challenges in our system, looking at funds? For instance, if you want to run for House of Assembly, even in PDP, I think as of 2019 it was 1 million. Labour Party, I think there's 500, between 500 and 1 million, and like that across all the parties. APC 1 million for House of Assembly. And then when you look at it and at how much youths are able to muster, we haven't talked about campaign funds and all the other logistics involved in running for office in this country. What is the pathway for young people that genuinely want to serve their country, genuinely want to serve their state, genuinely want to serve their constituencies, but are not able to generate such funds? What is the pathway to youths entering into leadership positions in this country?
Thank you for that very timely question as well. The answer to that is very simple. If you want to climb an Iroko tree, you don't climb the tree from the top. You climb from the lowest point where your hands can touch and your legs can move. Leadership is not theoretical, it is practical. And by practical, I mean that you don't need to have a theory behind your actions before you become a leader. Becoming a leader or exercising that leadership trait is an action. Leadership is an action word. Lead is action. So the answer is simple. Start from where you are. The very fundamental aspect of leadership that most live out is that aspect of sacrifice, of responsibility, and in summary of the two words, volunteerism. Most young people I've met who always want to be mentored by this politician or that politician, they want this person to show them the way, or this person should show them the way or lead them through. But they forget that nothing good comes easy. For me, the way I am, I consider myself, I'm sorry to say, I consider myself last. And I do not consider myself, I don't think I have anything to lose. That is the reason why when I come out, when I have conviction to drive any cause, I put everything, because I don't even think I have my life. So if you are able to demonstrate, if you believe as a young person that you have a calling to lead, that calling should be demonstrated in your action through volunteering to solve a problem. You cannot be a leader without solving a problem. And leaders always emerge in the unlikeliest of circumstances. Leaders do not emerge in comfortable situations. It took a Goliath for David to emerge. So there will always be money problems, there will always be financial constraints, there will always be family challenges. But what makes one a leader in the true sense of it is the person's ability to surmount those challenges. So my advice to young people is start where you are. Volunteer at a secondary school if you're able to teach. Volunteer, to mentor a business person if you are into business, a young business man or woman who are into business. Volunteer to clean up your environment. Volunteer to mobilize young people to participate in cleanup exercises. I mean, all of these are few things that low-hanging fruit that anybody can take advantage of to be a leader. And leadership starts in a small circle. I use the same David as an instance. David did not start by defeating Goliath. David started by leading a few sheep. From the few sheep he led, encountered the challenge or the problem when a bear had wanted to kill the sheep, and he confronted the bear and killed the bear. Nobody heard about that story until he emerged. So those little wins that you continue to acquire along the line, leading people to achieve little results, make little impact, will endear you to people, and it will endear you to people and make people to know you. And then, of course, you can get recommendation. It's not always about money. Anybody who wants to run for election in Nigeria and puts money first will fail. Having an understanding that politics, political leadership is 80% people-centric and money-centric will help any aspiring politician in Nigeria position himself or herself in a way that endears them to the people, because power comes from the people. And while you are doing all of this volunteering, all of this impact you're making in life, it might just be, if you have the means, pay somebody's school fees. Decide to pay school fees. I mean, you have the means, pay school fees for primary school children. How much is the fee? Maybe in your village, maybe in your community, the school fee is very small. Maybe 5,000, 10,000. You pay for 6 people. You pay for 10 people. You never can tell. In that process, people might see you as somebody who has goodwill. And if you say, come out tomorrow, they'll come out. And it's still remaining in that area. Whenever you get an opportunity to impact people, make maximum use of it. You might be in the church and you are a prayer minister or whatever, make impact. Whatever little opportunity you get, make impact. In most cases, it is as a result of the impact you make, the little opportunities you get, that you are recommended. And this business of leadership is a business that is highly centered on recommendation. I'll tell you why. For you to become the candidate of a political party, you have to be nominated. For this nomination, it's recommendation. So this business is centered primarily on recommendation. And if that is the case, for you to be recommended, you have to be on a good books of people. So consistently making impact with every opportunity and every resource available to you will endear you to people. So start now, start volunteering, start working, start making impact. That is one. The second and the last one I would say is development. Development in this context is both psychological and practical. Practical development, I will refer to as the young person or the person that wants to lead exposing themselves to leadership training, mentorship, and whatever avenue that they can use to grow themselves and become experts in their areas of endeavor. And then the psychological aspect is training this head, this mind, to think less of oneself and more of others. We are wired to always emphasize. I've forgotten that acronym, but in the general statement says, "What is in it for me?" I've forgotten the short acronym. That's the way we are wired. We're always thinking, "What is in it for me?" first. And anybody that has that mindset, that's the mindset we have from birth. From the origin, that's the mindset we have. But putting yourself out there as a leader means that you're going to train yourself, train your psyche, train your orientation, change your orientation to think less of yourself and think more of others, and putting yourself out there to lead from the front. Because most times, if you are not trained enough, if don't put yourself through training, and if you don't master the act of selfless service and taking courageous and bold steps for others, you will not be able to maximize the opportunity to lead. And opportunities for leadership does not come all the time. And like I said, it was through Goliath's intimidation of the Israelites that David came up. But before he came up, he did not think so much of himself. He was more interested in salvaging the image of his people. But beyond that, the knowledge he had, which is the knowledge of God and the power God had, the power of God in him to move mountains, helped him bring down Goliath. And of course, he was, at that point, people were taking him to take over the mantle of leadership in Israel. And it's the same, the principle remains the same. So every young person out there, apart from where you are, develop yourself mentally, deal with what is the need for me syndrome, and ultimately maximize every opportunity to make impact. And from there, recommendation, you can't even imagine how far you can go. So that'll be it. I've taken so long to emphasize it. I'm actually very passionate about leadership and the fact that young people must always take the front seat of leadership, and that's why I've taken so much time to apologies for this so long.
That is fine. I like it because we actually see the passion that you have for young people in leadership, and you've made some very strong points. Volunteer, serve, and be in the good books of people. Do stuff from where you are. Start from where you are, and that is very strong advice coming from my comrade here. Thank you. You have done so much justice to this question, and we are loving it. I have questions from Nomsky 92. Please ask your questions. Your hand has been up. Your digital hand has been up. If they are physical hands, by now they will be hurting. So you have the floor. Let's hear your question briefly, please. 1 minute. Thank you.
All right, thank you, comrade. In fact, this actually, I've been really hoping we had a whole lot of persons on this this conversation. Thank you, Mr. Stronghold. This is Matthew. So while the conversation was on, a lot of the questions I had in mind were attended to, so I won't need to bring them up. I just wanted to get, so basically I learned so much, and I'm taking a lot back. I just wanted to find out, you mentioned the INEC listing while you were talking about presenting your strong proofs. So I wanted to ask, what did you have any plan if INEC had not listed? Because you would see my picture, my status picture that's a picture of one of our heroines for this 2023 election. And I think she really made a great contribution in the success we achieved in Abia State. So I wanted to ask, if she had been one of these adamant and, a different person, like we've seen in some other states, and even in the country at the national level, if she had not listened, regardless whatever proof you present, did you have any plans, for securing the people's choice, And then the other questions I had on the chat box were actually from your the discussion about your strategies you implemented. So I wanted to know how many LGAs you had coverage on in Abia State. I know there are about 17 LGAs. And then how were you able to raise the manpower to really have, or what level of oversight did you have in these LGAs? And how were you able to really come to that point? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So, yeah, and I join you to celebrate Professor Nena Oti. For us, if you're able to, if you listen to our press conference on TVC and other platforms, we had acknowledged her as a role model, and the youth Abia are indebted to her for her professionalism and the fact that she gave the whole world a good impression about the Nigerian women. So yeah, that aside, I mean, we had a plan B. This is politics. I was saying in one of my interviews on radio that leadership is not an avenue for people to eat bread and drink tea. More so, Nigerian politics is not an environment for people to sleep. I mean, it's not an environment where people are allowed to sleep. For you to really make inroads, you have to be on your toes. So of course we had backup plans. I led a protest to the INEC office on the 19th. Although I and my team were attacked by some folks loyal to the ruling party. We had the press there, of course, the story was conflicted. So beyond our moves, we had to turn the ground. I mean, democracy is about the people. It's about the people. And if the people come out in the numbers to say, this is what we want, no matter who you are, no matter how highly placed you are, how many people are you going to kill? Are you going to kill everybody? If you kill everybody, who are you going to cover? And we're in a world of technology. So, people are no longer just physical. Where you have a gathering of 100 people, you have about another 2,000 following them online. So we had the foot soldiers, we had our people on the ground. And we have made our statement clear. And they've seen us right from the beginning. They know that we are credible and we're not doing anything for anybody. And if those who actually were crying foul was at the other end of the divide, we also will be speaking for them. So as far as we're concerned, our interest is for people to vote and for the votes to count, irrespective of who they decide to vote. And we took that stand because we know that our people are wise. We get the feedback from the street. We hear people complain about all the things, all the following the things, and we know that they have the opportunity to change it. So we felt that, okay, if we are able to provide this backup to achieve the free, fair election in Abia, then in alignment with the people, all of these challenges will be dealt with. So we had put the data evidence. Beyond that, we had the foot soldiers who were all out to insist that the right thing be done. So that is one. There's secondly talking about the LGAs that we covered. We have, and I mentioned earlier that we're doing our program, PVC registration across the 17 LGAs. We had young people, more than 200 of them, going to all the communities and all the LGAs on daily basis, gadgets, data, everything, on on daily basis for 3 months. So some of those, I believe, was not the making of any man. It was God that gave the insight. We did have Progressive Abia Youth was formed on the foundation of sincerity, clear purpose, and vision. The youth of Abia bought into it. I was only privileged to be the initiator of the vision. I did my best to be straightforward. I did my best to be uncompromisable, definitely word like that. I did my best to always respect the youth, not minding their status. I did my best to ensure that everybody had equal opportunities and people's opinions counted. So the rest is history. But yes, indeed, we had our people on the ground, and we were very, very, very busy all through this. I hope I answered your question very well.
Very much. Thank you very much, comrade. You have done so well in answering that question, and I've been seeing a lot of comments. So please bear with us. Don't be tired. I know we've taken so much of your time, and we'll be going shortly. But then we have Dr. Ada. Dr. Ada, let's have your comments, and then after that we'll take Dr. Idu. Dr. Ada, you have the floor, please.
Okay, thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. It's actually an explosive session, really. And I'm happy I found time to be here. So I'm also happy to be hearing from my Abia brother. I'm one of the most excited people to see this change happen. It didn't happen in my dad's time, it's happening in my time, so I'm excited. And to Abia State, thank you so much. I remember one of the days we were worried about our materials, flyers, stickers, and all that being in Abia, and I had to make some calls. And when I called somebody from my village, my husband's village, Ozuitim, he told me that we had stickers, flyers, banners all over Ozuitim. Thank you so much. Thank you. You did a fantastic job. And it went a long way in helping us to overcome the issue of LP, Papa, Mama, Pikin, and so on. And to every Abian who contributed to this process, we really appreciate you. So I already typed my questions. I didn't want to speak, but since my guy has called me up, I have no choice but to answer him. So the questions are already in the chat box. I don't know if I need to read them out or you just go ahead and answer them, sir.
No, please go ahead and ask them. Read them out so that everyone, for the benefit of everyone, please.
Okay, so the first is, how does the team intend to maximize the potentials in Abia, especially human resources? The second is, we have issues of erosion in different parts, different local governments in Abia State. Do you have concrete plans to tackle that? I don't know if these questions are actually for him or if they are way out of his reach, because I didn't join from the beginning of the program. Then the third one is...
I think those questions are for the incoming governor. He is non-partisan, but then it ties to him because these are the issues. I'm glad you are bringing them up because he has given us assurance that his organization will hold the state government, the incoming government, accountable. So I think he will just go quickly around those questions so he can go. Dr.
Okay, that's
Ekejiuba,
fine.
yeah.
So it's understood, sir. You can actually take it to those that would need to answer it. So I'm an Abian, so we will be on ground waiting to get answers to these questions. We are very patient. So the third question is, there's a lot of excitement in Abia State. I'm happy to see that excitement, but governance is not that easy. How do you intend to moderate this excitement and get almost all Abians to be part of this transformation process? What I mean is get them to own the process so that they don't see it as a Alex Oti is coming to deliver us, but that we have decided to deliver ourselves. This win is just the first step. The fourth one is, are there plans to copy our principal PO strategy in maintaining contacts with the common man? Okay, like he did by getting first-hand information from school prefects. And the last is this government going to be open to ideas and criticisms? If yes, how can it be easily reached? Thank you very much.
Comrade, quickly before you go, if you are still here, you just messaged me that you have to go. So let's have your closing remarks before you go. We'll talk to Dr. Idu. Do you have time? So that let's talk to Dr. Idu first before we talk to you so that you can go. Is that okay?
All right, condemn that fighting.
All right, Dr. Idu, you have the floor. Under 5 minutes, that's a tall order, I know, but let's hear from you, and then closing remarks from Comrade
I
before.
will hurt some people that are casting aspersions on my time talking reputation. Well, Dr. Ada has forerun, and she has said it was explosive indeed. Great conversation. Daberechi, whom I christened him Dabs because I always go quick. I feel Dabs is shorter than Daberechi. I can't thank you enough for doing real justice to questions. You did not give surface answers. You went into great detail. When somebody has made a really nice pot of soup, you just come and inhale and eat. So I don't want to, I can't beat that. So I'm just going to say, I hope everybody was listening really hard. And if you see the charge I wrote in the invite, I said that leadership needs reflection. We evaluate, we assess, we re-strategize, and we implement. So I want us not to listen to the story and be happy. I want us to say, what is my implementation point? And I like what he talked about volunteering. I want to charge all of us, don't only volunteer, do what you can, but be part of the process, not in the political era, but just even your town hall, your village meeting, your monthly kindred meeting. Get involved, let people know you, and go and be part of that House of Assembly floor when they're making presentations. Listen when the budget is being read. Ask questions. See something, say something. Let us be participant in our citizenry. In fact, Dabechi, there were some things you said that I just couldn't, I wish I wasn't driving so I could write. But active citizenry, somebody's hinting me about time. Active citizenry is really, 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 really the point. So Exalt Nigeria, my shameless plug, drives mass, or the Americans would say mass, participation in the electoral process for good governance. So we don't want Daberechi. We want you to be Daberechi. We want me to be Daberechi. We want all of us to be PO. I am my PO. I am my Daberechi. So that's my charge to you. Wherever you are, do your own bit. God bless us all. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Doc. This is awesome. You actually kept the time today. This is wonderful, and you look amazingly beautiful, I must tell you that. Daberechi, comrade, please, you have the closing remarks, and whatever he says, and before we go, just remember that this charge from Doc, be part of the process, get involved. Comrade, let's hear from you.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes from Nelson Mandela, actually have that hanging in my office, is the most difficult thing to do is not to change the society, but to change yourself. Because it is from changing yourself that you change society. So from the comment, the question asked about whether or not the government is open to ideas. I will assume the answer is yes, but we made this happen. So he has to be accountable to us. We always find a way to interact with him in the language we understand. So we are, like you said, we are on ground. and we identify the language he understands and speak to him in that language. The most important thing is that the result is achieved and that Abia remains progressive. Yes, we had a generational press conference that should be, I think, around March, April 2022, where we had our coordinators do a thorough analysis of all the 70 LGAs and come up with all the issues across the communities in the state. And we have a document that effect. And in the coming days, we're also going to be having a town hall where we discuss the issues and present a formal document to the incoming governor and direct him on areas of interest and make him understand what we expect from him, our leader. So that being said, I want to thank everybody for having me. I'm delighted. Honestly, I'm delighted to be part of this conversation. And with us here, I believe that Nigeria has a sport that can transform the country from where it is, where we want it to be. So I beg to take my leave now. I've been trying to found some calls coming in, so I need to return those calls and try to intervene with. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ekene, for
My pleasure, comrade. My pleasure. Thank you. That has been comrade Daberechi Kingsley Ekejiuba, and he has done justice to these questions that we have thrown at him. And I also want to thank every one of you that was part of this conversation. I want to thank all those that made our time to ask their questions. I want to say God bless you. And then please do not forget, this is very important, be part of the process and keep getting involved in your LGA, in your town hall meetings, like Doc was saying. And this is Exalt Nigeria's Election 360. This is not be part of the end of it. We have a lot more coming your way. So stay tuned as we will bring you more and more interesting conversations so that together we can exalt Nigeria to the heights where it belongs, in the top group and the top league of nations. My name has been Stronghold, and this is coming from me from the stables of Exalt Nigeria. Let's do this again some other time. Thank you for coming. Bye.